My friends, your patience is about to be rewarded. For I have saved the best for last. I have recently discovered a cure-all of unrivaled potency. It will soon be on the shelves in every home of Outworld. This elixir is crafted from an ancient recipe. It has Patreon flowers, Margovian nectar, powdered teeth of an Arctican dragon. All this and more, infused with powerful Licorian magic. There is a village in the next canton over, where everyone has purchased this miracle cure. Overnight, all diseases, even Tarkot, have disappeared. Now, magic this potent is expensive. And I am sure you're asking yourselves, can I afford it? But the true question you must ask is, can I afford to be without it?
You lie, Shang Tsung. Your cures are useless.
I'm sorry. You are?
Someone fool enough to have believed you. My daughter was dying when you came to my farm. You promised a miracle, and I gave you all I had. But only days later, she was dead.
That is impossible. My magic could not have failed her.
There was no magic! I took your elixir to an Imperial mage, and you know what she said? It's nothing! Just bourgeois tea!
The mage is mistaken, kind sir. My elixirs are of superior quality. Their efficacy is guaranteed.
Excellent ruse, your disguise. Backwater folk are far more likely to trust a kindly old man.
Here on behalf of a dissatisfied customer. If it's revenge you want, have at it. If it's restitution, there's nothing left.
What I want, Shang Tsung, is to elevate you. To make you the great sorcerer that now you can only pretend to be.
A generous offer. Why me?
You are uniquely resilient. Who else could eke out a living traveling Outworld's hinterlands, selling quack cures and fake magic?
A living? It is barely survival.
And you were meant for more. To live among kings, not peasants. But since before you were born, you have been conspired against by those who fear how formidable you could become.
How do you know this? Who are you?
I am your deliverer, Shang Tsung. Join me, and I will put the realms at your feet.
This is a good harvest, Kung Lao.
Yes. It is a blessing, Raiden.
You would rather we starve?
No, of course not. But we've worked these fields since we were kids. In 40 years, we'll still be here. Stooped and feeble like Old Man Way.
As long as I've known you, you've dreamed of leaving things young. Why can't you be happy here?
Our ancestors fought in great wars. They died with honor and glory. Stories of our great adventures will be passed down for generations.
It may not be glorious, but what we do helps the village thrive.
I know. But is it so wrong to want some excitement?
If that's what you want, may I suggest a bet? Dinner at Madame Beau's tonight. Last to fill their cart pays.
You work faster than me? Ha! Since when? You're on, Raiden. That is amazing.
I am starving. I wonder what Madame Beau is making tonight.
For you two, whatever you want.
Thank you, Madame Beau. You spoil us.
Like the sons I never had. Have you two been practicing my lessons?
As we can. The harvest leaves us little time for martial arts.
Since your first words, Kung Lao, you've mouthed nothing but excuses. If you fail to prepare...
Your preparations will fail you.
Good. You haven't forgotten. But we'll see if I make you anything special tonight.
I'm glad you're paying. Madame Beau might just pad the bill with her anger.
I am paying? You finished work last.
But I delivered my cart first.
Delivered? Huh. The bet was filled.
That's not what I remember.
So that's how it is, eh? What do you say we settle this man to man?
Wait, you mean fight?
Yes. Right here, right now. Madame Beau can watch, critique our form.
Best 2 out of 3?
Fair enough.
We must be careful. Madame Beau will kick us out.
Mortal Kombat has morphed and changed many times through its 30 years of existence. But through its iterations from 2D to 3D with beat-em-up spin-offs and even a reboot in 2011, its identity has remained consistent, narrowed down to 2 core tenets: its scandalous and over-the-top violence, and its dark, dire, and melodramatic storytelling. After playing about 90 minutes of Mortal Kombat 1, however, it's clear that NetherRealm Studios' upcoming entry is somewhere between preserving its 30-year history while completely reinventing itself. Most notably, with an emphasis on a more light-hearted tone that hasn't been seen in the franchise yet. That is, a light-heartedness still absolutely drenched in guts and bone fragments. Mortal Kombat 1 is a fresh start for its universe, its characters, and even its combat, all of which is apparent in the first chapter of its new story mode, which centered around a young Raiden, no longer the God of Thunder in this new timeline, and Kung Lao, who we get to see in a Year Zero-like setting as farmers in a small rural village. The game takes its time to show the relationship between the two, a sibling-like love and rivalry. That is, until things go awry and the clan of assassins Lin Kuei, led by Smoke, show up and demand protection money from a local restaurant. And, of course, Kung Lao and Raiden step in to protect their turf. It's also in these brief moments we're given a glimpse of some new and not so focal characters from the MK universe, like Madame Beau, the town cook and resident martial art master who has been teaching Raiden and Kung Lao. She's old, quirky, and as tough as nails, and the moment she started thrusting fists and kicks in Smoke's face, I instantly fell in love with her. Fingers crossed, she's a playable character in the final roster.
But we'll see if I make you anything special tonight.
I'm glad you're paying. Madame Beau might just pad the bill with her anger.
I am paying? You finished work last.
But I delivered my cart first.
Delivered? Huh. The bet was filled.
That's not what I remember.
By Mortal Kombat standards, the introduction felt reserved and grounded. Where we're often thrust into epic battles of magic and high fantasy in the game's opening moments, this time I was fighting as a Kung Lao without his razor-rimmed hat, halting me from throwing it across the screen followed with a spray of blood and gore. Don't be fooled, however, as Fatal Blow still displayed x-rays of anatomically impossible to survive injuries with bones shattering into dust and organs exploding like balloons. The tone of story isn't the only notable change, but the actual feel of combat itself has received a welcomed overhaul that makes Mortal Kombat feel the most fluid it has ever thanks to its newly worked combo system. Now, combos feel less restrictive to string together, which is supported by the return of aerial combos, which hasn't been seen in the franchise since its 3D era. And the game's all-new cameo system. Stringing together a series of hits on ground followed by a juggle in the air made for satisfying combos that felt as cool to input as they were to watch. Nor did it feel like it required a great deal of studying the move list to pull it off. All of which is elevated by calling in a cameo with an easy button press to provide an extra hit or two. Executing it all showed off the complexity and depth of its combo system, which is a well-needed step forward for the franchise. While Mortal Kombat is no stranger to combos, its emphasis has always leaned on its special moves, which series creator Ed Boon has touted as a strength due to the simplicity of their inputs. But Mortal Kombat 1, on the other hand, has very smartly put its combo and cameo system front and center by limiting the use of special moves in the early stages of its story mode. Mortal Kombat 1's new combo system, accompanied with aerial combat, is great in its own right, but it's only strengthened with deeper strategy and variety because of cameos. Already, when getting a little hands-on time with cameos such as Kano and Cyrax, was I able to get a brief glimpse at just how deep and strategic I can get when choosing certain character combos. This mixing and matching of two character rosters broadens MK's toolkit to inspiring heights. Also, playing with cameos just looks and feels awesome. Seeing cameos bounce in and out of the background in the midst of your combos and special moves added a sense of organized chaos on screen that matched the over-the-top cinematic nature that I only really got to see in the game's cutscenes. Invasions is the debut of a new kind of single-player mode. Similar to MK11's Towers of Time mode, Invasions mode is a series of battles under a wide array of challenges and objectives, with each fight featuring different circumstances for the player to overcome. Completing these fights will award the player with a random loot drop of items and medallions that will change the attributes of your fighter, like giving Kung Lao Scorpion Spear, for example. Additionally, you're rewarded with cosmetics to change your character's appearance and currency to upgrade items and purchase more. From match to match, you'll work your way across a map in a board game-like fashion, encountering Test Your Might-style minigames and sometimes being ambushed all Pokemon-style by special fights like defeating a series of characters in a consecutive row. On paper, Invasions mode is an amalgamation of different modes seen in previous MK games, most notably an evolution of MK11's Towers of Time with a sprinkle of Super Smash Bros. World of Light mode, which also saw players collecting items, leveling up gear, and fighting under special circumstances. The difference with Invasions mode is that it's an ever-growing service that will feature seasons of content for players to return to. In the brief moment I had with it, I found myself rather meandering fight to fight with no clear objective other than to build currency and loot items. This wasn't helped by the slow movement speed of my character between matches, and too often did I find myself at dead ends, only having to sluggishly move my character back from where I came. Nonetheless, I also don't think the 40 minutes I played was enough time to understand the potential of its depth. There seems to be a lot there, but its early stages wasn't enough to see the scope it promised as a games-as-a-service mode. Invasions mode aside, the most exciting prospect from my hands-on time is that Mortal Kombat 1 is what it's preserving from its history while not shying away from elevating the franchise to new heights. Seeing the addition of deep-cut characters like Li Mei, or by including the original cast's costumes such as Sonya Blade, Kano, and Jax Briggs's, is a cool nod to its past. Meanwhile, MK1 is seemingly doing a lot to position itself as one of the most progressive in the franchise, thanks to its new combo and cameo system, as well as its overall lighter tones. Well, at least from what I've seen in its opening chapter. Even the menu screens are lighter, touting a bright and colorful vista as its backdrop, a stark contrast to MK11's pitch-black menu screens and its doomy, gothic-like music. One could even say that the future of Mortal Kombat is the brightest it's ever been. We'll have to find out just how bright it is, however, when the game releases September 14th. For everything Mortal Kombat 1, get over here at GameSpot. That was really not a good Scorpion. That's reserved for Ed Boon and Ed Boon alone. I respect that.